Hi, it's Tim from MVP Machine. Today we're going to show you some tips on using your Suburban Tool Fly Cutter, as well as some common mistakes to avoid. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the notification bell. The YouTube algorithm has changed recently, and even if you're a subscriber, our videos have only been getting pushed out to like 10% of our subscribers. So make sure you hit the notification bell so that they're pushed in front of you if you like this type of video. We're going to get right to it. Okay, the first tip is we don't recommend using coolant or cutting oil with this tool ever. It's a common mistake people make since they're used to using coolant and cutting oil with other tools, but the cutter geometry is designed so that the heat comes off with the chip on this tool. And the nature of a fly cutter is to make the chips fly, and that basically evacuates the chip from the part. When you put cutting oil or coolant on, it holds the chip, so the next revolution the cutter makes, it's dragging a chip with it. So that's the number one thing to avoid, and I've never seen any situation where coolant or cutting oil will help your finish when using this fly cutter and many others. Okay, tip number 2, touching off your tool. In the case of a CNC machine, you have to know where the top of the part is, and even on a boring mill, basically in the case of a CNC, the machine has to know, in a boring mill or a Bridgeport, the operator has to know. So to touch this off, a lot of people will put a piece of paper under the tip and touch it off that way, but in the case of a fly cutter, it's usually a good idea to have the spindle running. You get close to the part before you do this, and then just jog down one thou at a time until you get a witness mark in the part, and you'll hear it a little bit. Helps if I hit jog first. And there we have our little mark. You can see it. And the reason for doing it this way is that when the cutter is running, there can be some deflection in the arbor or in the cutter itself. And if there's any deflection, this gives you the most accurate way of touching off your tool. Okay, tip number 3 is more of a how-to than a tip, but when you're using this in a CNC or even on a manual mill, a lot of times you'll need to know the diameter of the cutter. On a CNC, you're writing it into a program, you have to know the diameter of the cutter. And the most accurate way to do that, I've found, is to use a drop type indicator on a mag base. And I basically have this one just the mag base on the table, and the indicator, and I'm going to go right off of the tool's arbor, which is a known diameter. The reason I'm going off the flange on the arbor is because it's the closest thing to the spindle, so I know it's going to be the least run out, the most accurate. So all you really need to do is jog in there, touch your flange on your arbor. I'm using the Y-axis to do this, and then I'm going to switch over to X once I've touched it and move it until I hit the high point. It appears to be right about there. And then I'm going to go back in on Y and move it to the 0 on the indicator. And that looks pretty good. And then what you do is record your number. In the case of the CNC, I'm not going to zero it, but I've got 11.839 inches, or I should say minus 11.839. And that number is where that arbor is. The arbor is 2.5 inches. So we already have that number established. And now we're going to jog back out, raise the cutter up, staying on center on X because the insert rotates on the center line of the tool. We're going to jog in there and find the tip of this. And then I just slide up on the Z till I get to the point. I'm shooting for the 0 again. And I'll keep going up on Z until it starts to drop off. Okay, right there, I know that I'm at the radius on the insert. And then I'm going to move back out on Y to 0. And it can be rotated a little bit to see if it changes in the and that's the high point of the insert. I'm right on the edge, and we're back out on Y again. And that's the number we need. It's 9.230. And basically what you do is you take the 2.5 inch diameter of the arbor and you divide it by 2, which gives you 1.25 inches. And then we're going to take the number that we first got when we touched off on the arbor flange, the 11.839 inches. And we're going to subtract from that the 9.230 inches, which gives us 2.609. Okay, so that's the radius that we measured. We're going to add that to the radius of the flange, which was 1.25. That gives us 3.859 inches. And then we're going to times that by 2, which gives us the diameter of the cutter is 7.718 inches. And in the case of, like, if you have a Bridgeport readout, you 0 out the readout, that'll give you that radius on the step from the flange to the tip of the insert. But then you can go back and just add in the radius of the cutter, which is the 1.25 inches, and that'll give you your diameter. You can use this exact same method for other milling cutters, such as face mills or even end mills, and the only difference being on a multi-inserted cutter or a multi-tooth cutter like a end mill, you have to spin the cutter first and find the high flute, and that would be the one that you would use in your equation. Okay, tip number 4 is if you're using this cutter to debark or remove the mill scale off a hot rolled plate, we recommend that you try and get under the mill scale, and that's usually about 15 to 20 thousandths deep. We're going to take a cut here. We're going to be running the cutter at 720 RPMs and a 6.5 inch per minute feed rate, and we're going to try and cut under the plate and see what kind of finish we get. If need be, we'll let the finish pass run. So here goes. Now I've stopped the machine and I'll show you this finish. And that's an adequate finish. We're not going to run the finish pass on this one. Now the reason you want to cut under the mill scale is that scale is very rough and it can cause damage to your insert. So if you're doing like a production job, you want to make sure you cut under it so that it doesn't cause premature insert wear. Okay, tip number 5 is regarding extending the bar, and the bar on this is a 7.5 inch bar. There's 3 different bars available for this cutter, but we're using the 7.5 inch bar, which the minimum cut diameter on the 7.5 inch bar is 7 3/4 of an inch when it's in the tool, and the maximum cut diameter is 10 9/16 inches. But we measured it before with the bar pushed all the way in at 7.18 inches. And an easy way to extend it without having to recheck it is to use a Joe block. And I'm using a 1/2 inch Joe block. Let's see if I can get it to focus here. And that 1/2 inch Joe block, basically when I loosen the screws on the cutter to adjust it, you can do this on the machine or off the machine. The bar won't fall out because it's got the recessed grooves there to hold it in. But you basically put your Joe block right in there and you leave it just slightly off the bottom in case there was a radius when they made the tool. And that's an easy way to extend it. And you want to add 0.016 of an inch to your Joe block. So it gives us 0.516 of an inch that we've extended it, and that's going to extend on radius, so we have to double that. And what we wind up with when we double it and add it to the 7.718 inches that we originally had is exactly 8.75 inches. And that's just a quick way to extend it without having to recheck. And you could add, whatever up to the range, whatever buildup of Joe blocks you want. Just remember to add the 0.016 to your Joe block size, double that number that you get, and then add it to the original diameter that you had. And that brings us to tip number 6. I extended the bar in the last tip, and now we're going to use the bar in an extended form to cut that plate, but we're not going to cross over the whole plate. We're going to stop when the cutter just crosses basically the finish line, the edge of the part, and that'll save time and also saves on inserts and gives you a pretty good finish. So here we go. I've slowed down the RPMs a little bit to 670. When you extend the bar, you have to slow down the RPMs. The bigger the cutter is, the slower you want to run it. And there's no hard, fast rule of thumb. You just kind of have to do it by feel. And the cut we're taking is 8/1000ths of an inch. this out and show you that finish. Now we're going to run an indicator over it and see how flat we are. Okay, here I have my stare at one thou indicator. I'm going to run it around the perimeter of the plate. See how flat we got it. And I'd say that's pretty good. That's within about a half a thousandth. Please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And thank you for watching. We'll have more fly cutting tips coming up in the next video.